Well, everybody, hope you're all doing okay. I've actually found a half decent lit area. It is a service station, so I am absolutely freezing. But listen, need to get this match reaction. Shout out to Gabe, who managed to get the fantastic match reaction out live. Shout out to him. I couldn't do it obviously because I was at the game. And Leeds United have done another fizzle out job. Unfortunately, I don't really know what's happening at the minute. It seems to be players are off boil, and that is the perfect word for it at the minute. It's fizzle. It's not good enough. It is. I saw players hiding tonight. I've not seen that so far this season. Individuals hiding. I'm not going to call out members because I think it's quite damning saying that certain players were hiding, but they were. And the people who were around me at the game knew I was calling out for that, and there were players hiding, which was very unfortunate. I thought in a game of this magnitude, I sort of slightly disagree with the majority when it comes to Somerville and Rutter. I have to say that. I know they're losing the ball a lot, but when you're getting two players who are the only systematic option for Leeds United, if those two are trying their damnedest to get Leeds United forward and create something, they are naturally going to lose the ball more often. Now, my criticism more lies at the feet of a Dan James, of a Patrick Bamford, of a Kamara, of a Gruev, of players like that who need to aid your creators as well, who need to also provide moments of quality going forward. They don't do this. It is consistently reliant on two players to get Leeds United back to the Premier League with sprinkles of the rest. And unfortunately, that is our makeup. Now, the makeup of this side systematically, unfortunately, because of Daniel Farke, how he has set this side up, the default is to go back to Illan Meslier. The default is to retreat instead of go forward. The players, unfortunately, right now are almost functioned into doing these short passes between the lines. That's what they do. They pass to each other within 5-yard spaces. They don't really go to 7 to 10 yards, and that's it. That's the risk of their passing. Now, as a comparative, under Marcelo Bielsa, as we can speak about, there used to be 30, 40, 50-yard ranges when it came to passing distribution, medium to long-term distribution over the fullbacks, where we'd get wingers who are virtually against the fullbacks, and it brings Leeds up the pitch. Illan Meslier would go long as well. The centre-backs would go long, and notoriously Calvin Phillips would as well. Now, the crowd, I can tell you this for a fact, were getting so knocked off with the players, Illan Meslier turned round and almost tried to quiet down the fans, told them to keep encouraging. The fans were encouraging, they were fantastic tonight, but the frustration was boiling over by the constant passing between the two centre-backs and the goalkeeper for large periods of the game. And you have the most frustrating part of it systematically is Dan James hugs the touchline. Somerville hugs the touchline when we have it with Illan Meslier, when Joe Rodon and Ethan Ampadu have the ball. So what's the point? What's the point in hugging the touchline? You might as well just invert and come centrally to help Rutter out in that middle of the park, because the ball gets to Rutter and he's tasked continuously with turning water into wine in that middle spot. Patrick Bamford, we were speaking about it pre-game, is completely ridden of confidence and is a completely average football player. So what does Daniel Farke do? He tries to big him up in the press conference, almost, I'm paraphrasing here, but as I said in my pre-match, when I was talking about the best and the worst of Daniel Farke in that press conference, I was discussing Daniel Farke saying, well, the youngsters shouldn't be bigged up too much by the fans. You know, we don't want them to be made out to be world class. No one was doing that. And he was adding value to Patrick Bamford's performances and almost bigging him up when he can't be bigged up. He called him skinny and long as an advantage. What the hell does that mean? What the hell does that mean? And then it's an absolute insult, in my opinion, that he then brings in the 83rd minute 3 players on, when once again with Daniel Farke, and how many times, Leeds United fans, have we said this? We've all been crying out for changes at half-time. He waits, he waits, he waits, he waits, he waits, and a lot of the time it's too late. And his constant sort of go-to is to throw as many attackers on at a certain phase to get Leeds United a goal if we're not scoring. Now, that's all well and good at certain points, and it has got Leeds out of trouble. But does that give you like systematic and tactical faith in the manager? I spoke about his development as a coach over the year, but really in the last 4 to 5 games, I'm once again questioning his substitutions. I'm questioning the timing of his substitutions. And his starting 11, he's completely wedded to certain players. And listen, at Norwich, I broke this down at the start of the season, got called very, I'm too negative, you can't be doing this, you can't be doing that. This is what I was being told by very, very, very almost club sources at Norwich, that he's completely stubborn and he will never change his ways. And whilst that is almost fantastic, what is the point in having half that bench there? I'm talking about Anthony. I'm talking about Perot, really, when you look at his minutes in the past 10 games. What's the point in having Joe Gelhardt there? What's the point in having Cresswell there? And look, everybody, these are options at points in game, yeah? And what he's doing at this moment in time, when you are needing to win a game, systematically, you are getting nowhere, and as a team, you are getting nowhere. You decide to leave Willian Gnonto, arguably the best player, and would be the best player in the setup at this moment in time in terms of form, on the bench until the 84th minute. Jorginho Rutter, he's struggling at this moment in time. Why not, at points, bring him off? Why not implement and try replicate what he brings by bringing Joe Gelhardt on, by bringing Perot on, by doing it that way, doing something a little bit different? But what he's doing at this moment in time is being predictably predictable. Systematically, I think if we are to get into that playoffs, we're in big trouble. We're in big trouble, and let me break down why. We're very easy to play against. We don't move the ball quickly. Defending against Leeds is very, very simple. If Chris Somerville and Jorginho Rutter can't surprise you with elements of magic, Leeds United aren't going to break through. As we didn't against Sunderland, as we didn't against Coventry, as we didn't against West Bromwich Albion, 3 examples of teams that have taken 4 points off us this season, who are lesser teams than us, who have just sat in, done the basics, moved over as a unit, and because Leeds don't switch the ball quickly, we won't move the ball quickly, and the players have now almost got an excuse to leave the handbrake on because Daniel Farke instructs them with these short 5 to 7 yard passes to play within the defence and to utilise Ilan Meslier as much as they can. Leeds players now have an excuse consistently to play laterally, consistently to go backwards, because that's the manager's instruction. Once again, comparing, don't shout at me, but Marcelo Bielsa encouraged his players to play forward, to play risky passes continuously and be brave. We don't have central midfielders who are brave. We don't have central midfielders who shoot. I am really reluctant to blame your Crysencio Somervilles and your Jorginho Rutters, because they have been the spark all season, and they're still young boys, but when you're getting no goals from midfield, your striker at this moment in time is completely useless. It is down to the manager for keeping that striker in. We can all criticise Bamford. We know what Bamford's about. We obviously know what Bamford's about. But if he's going to continue playing Patrick Bamford, and Patrick Bamford hasn't done it tonight, he took it round the keeper and crossed the ball in, it beat everyone, that could be classified as a good chance. But if he continues to miss good chance after good chance after good chance after good chance, then it's going to lie on Farke, because people are going to question Daniel Farke's credentials, and the 49ers are probably going to look at his job status at some point if Leeds United aren't able to put a run of wins together toward the back end of the season, of which you rely on your striker at points to get you out the hole. Okay, so if he's not going to change these people, if he's not going to change personnel, then what are we saying here? I put a lot of it down to Daniel Farke. Tonight, I put it down to Daniel Farke. The blueprint of a Sunderland side isn't that difficult to figure out, and Leeds United made it look like some sort of NASA plan tonight to break them down. But once again, like Coventry did, they sat back, they let Leeds United have the ball, and they looked to counter-attack. Coventry did it more efficiently. We saw Southampton batter them tonight. And then you've got Sunderland tonight, who've already done the exact same game plan to us at the Stadium of Light, beating us. The manager hasn't learned that they're in a low to mid block and they're going to wait. Leeds are going to have the ball and then they're going to look to counter-attack, which is what they did in the first game. The manager is wedded to his principles, which is pass within a 5 to 7 yard area, between the lines, between each other, and build up through Jorginho Rutter solely, really, especially in that central space, and hope that him or Chris Somerville can produce moments of magic, whilst being surrounded by your Patrick Bamfords and your Dan Jameses and your Archie Gray, who's knackered, and was beaten a couple of times by Jack Clarke tonight, when we'd all spoken about Connor Roberts being the obvious person to get in there, an experienced body, marking up against Jack Clarke. He didn't do that, and when you've got players in and around Chris Somerville and Jorginho Rutter who can't help them out, who can't supplement elements of creativity, innovativeness and utmost quality, then what are you supposed to do? They're getting frustrated because they're not getting no help as well, because it's so reliant on those two. They're definitely poor. They've definitely been poor recently, of course, as we called out Jorginho Rutter the other day. But at this moment in time, Daniel Farke isn't utilising a top bench. We're all literally looking at the bench. Jayden Anthony. You know, I think Gelhardt was on there tonight, but Joel Perreault, Connor Roberts, Charlie Cresswell, even Liam Cooper at this level. I know he's not, you know, but when you're looking at other teams who'll be looking at Liam Cooper, don't watch him every week, like us Leeds fans will be thinking, oh, he's a good player, he's a good player. You've got all this on your bench, and his substitution timings are abhorrent. They're awful, and they're not affecting games in a good way. The usage of substitutions is third bottom in the division in terms of minutes per game when they've been coming on. Our rivals are near the top. You look at Ipswich, they've got over 13 goals from subs. Leeds is nowhere near that. Nowhere near that, because the manager doesn't give them enough time. There was more than enough, there was ample opportunity to break down a Sunderland side here with a bit of pragmatism, going long at points, changing something at half time when it came to systematic differences, go long a little bit, go to the channels a little bit. Archie was trying it in the first half, but the rest of the team weren't. It's the handbrake option, pass it between the lines, short 5 to 7 yard passes, and that's how we'll go about things. But ultimately as well, the timings of the substitutions and his constant need, Daniel Farke, to do things almost beyond the 75th, 80th minute on average. And it's killing the players' time. You can't get into the game. You can't get a rhythm of the game doing that. So that's down to Daniel Farke tonight, in my opinion. The setup of the squad, which needed changes, the implementation of substitutes at the right time. Two things that you judge a manager on. The players weren't good enough, but the players are instructed to go out there and do a job. If the job systematically is that plan tonight, then we're not going to break a Sunderland side down. We're not going to break a Coventry down, a Norwich, whoever we're going to face in the playoffs as well. It's going to be difficult because there's a blueprint to play against Leeds United. And Daniel Farke still, for me, hasn't figured out how to get past that. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Oh, stressful again. See you in a bit.